This is The Weekly on ClickOrlando.com with Justin Warmoth.
Good morning, I'm Justin Warmoth. January's inflation report, which came out Friday, came in higher than economists predicted and higher than the previous report. It was the first uptick in several months, and it shows families are continuing to struggle to make ends meet. That couldn't be more evident for the Second Harvest Food Bank of Central Florida, whose distribution is back to the level they saw at the height of the pandemic. This morning, the food bank's new president and CEO, Derrick Chubbs, is here to talk about how they're continuing to scale their services to meet the community's growing need for food assistance. You are semi-new to Central Florida. It's been about a year now since you took over. How's it been? What you expected?
It's better than I expected.
Okay.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm talking in the middle of an interview here. The city has been more than welcoming. Mm-hmm. The need is pretty much as I thought it was. Mm-hmm. I have a phenomenal board. An exceptional staff. I literally said yesterday, and it wasn't just for them, that they may very well be the best team I've ever had in my career. That's both nonprofit and for-profit. So we work really well together, and they're really interested and ready for what the next phase of the food bank actually is, and that's fun.
Let's talk about that next phase. Yeah. I want to get into, obviously, the need, and really to offer some perspective on what you guys do and the people, the thousands and thousands of people who rely on the Second Harvest Food Bank of Central Florida. So what is the next step, though? Is it continuing what you're doing, but also branching off into other areas of need? Talk about that. Absolutely.
There's something I'll give my predecessor, Dave, mm-hmm. credit for, that he said a while back, is we're not going to food bank our way out of hunger. And primarily, it's not really rocket science. The root cause of hunger is typically poverty. And it's only one facet of poverty, because with that we have to factor in housing, we have to factor in childcare, we have to factor in inflation, and the list just goes on and on and on. And what we're finding is that those who depend on our services on a regular basis, they're at the point now where they're almost using food as a supplement to making the math work. At the end of the month. By that I mean, well, I can't cut back 10% on my rent.
Right.
I have to pay my utility bills, and I may be able to get flexible on a couple of other things, or I can cut back 10% on how much I eat. I can buy cheaper food that's not as healthy. I can go without eating myself and just make sure that my kids are eating. That's why we're seeing post-pandemic, post-hurricanes, post-inflation, the fact that we always underestimate how long that recovery tail actually is, which is why we're seeing numbers today that we were seeing during the height of the pandemic. So just to plug in those numbers. Through our partner agency network, our partners that we work with, before the pandemic, we were distributing around 150,000 meals a day. Mm-hmm. During the pandemic, we were up to 300,000 meals a day. This past summer and fall, we had kind of dropped that back to around 250, still significantly more, but what we found at the end of the year is we're literally just back to 300,000 meals a day. And the recovery component, I think the recovery component and inflation are major factors to that. With that, we're finding, and here's some of the things that we're finding. We're finding, back in around, I think, 2008 to 2019, the Federal Reserve said that the average family or individual had about $400 set aside for a rainy day. That's not even a set of tires, man. Yeah. So if you lose a job, if you're in a household and someone in the household loses a job, then until you feel, and just because you find a job 4 months later, you're also 4 months behind. And then you pile on the storms that we've had, and then you pile on what we saw at the gas pump that's now starting to go back down, but we saw that at the gas pump. They are just, families are just caught in a really difficult position right now, and that's why our numbers are higher. That's foundational where we are, and we'll keep scaling, and we'll keep providing food to the 7 counties that we serve in Central Florida. We'll continue to do that, but there's a need for us to do some shifts as well if we're really going to impact hunger.
It really does. It doesn't take much to allow things to snowball. When you talk about those factors that play into it, when folks are on this budget, this fixed income, this budget that if out of their control, everything is more expensive, then what happens, right? And so are you seeing folks who may not normally rely on the food bank coming, or are you seeing folks who said, okay, I'm good now, but I was good at this point, but now I need the assistance? What are you seeing as far as the makeup of folks who are coming to the Second Harvest Food Bank for assistance?
First and foremost, we're seeing the numbers of people who are coming to us who are employed. That number is growing for various reasons. The numbers are, like I keep saying, the math just doesn't work for a month. We're seeing more seniors because of the occurrences that have taken place, who've had to take in a child, who've had to help with grandchildren. We're seeing families, multiple families now consolidating households. And those are the stories that we're telling. And those individuals who are telling a story that said, I never thought that I would have to come to you, but I'm glad you're here. Those numbers are on the increase. Now, we're starting to track that. We don't have the numbers here in Central Florida just yet. But I will tell you, before I left Austin, the number of individuals soliciting support from the food bank there had increased 200%, first timers.
And these are not folks who want to go to the food.
They don't want to be here.
Nobody wants to do this. No one's looking for, assistance. They would like to do it on their own. They would like to go be able to buy healthy groceries by themselves and have these, but they are at the point where they just simply cannot make ends meet. And unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, you are there to help them get through whatever time it is. And I think if someone's watching this and they're like, listen, I'm at this point too, right? What are the qualifications? How do you make a decision on whether someone is eligible to receive the assistance?
If you tell me you're hungry and you need food, I'm going to feed you. End of story. It's just that simple. To your point earlier, people don't want to be there. So, and if someone happens to come that really shouldn't come, that's between them and their maker. They can work on that a little bit later on. But the overwhelming, the 95 percentile range that we work with, we don't ask a lot of questions. If you need food, then I'm figuring that you've humbled yourself. If you've humbled yourself enough to come to me, then I'm going to do everything I can to allow you to maintain your dignity, and I'm going to do what we can to supply you and your family with food as many times as you need. And and there are other elements. We have people who at certain points were only depending on us once a month. They had gotten down to once a month, maybe from once a week. Now they're back to once a week. So it's not all new people. It's it's individuals and families that have found themselves in different circumstances that are having to rely on us.
Coming up, Chubbs will explain how lingering inflation is impacting their ability to secure enough food for those in Central Florida and how the community can help them get results. Stay with us.
This is The Weekly on ClickOrlando.com with Justin Warmoth.
Welcome back as we continue our conversation with Derrick Chubbs, the president and CEO of the Second Harvest Food Bank of Central Florida. We'll talk about how the community can get involved in the fight against hunger and poverty coming up. But first, what it means to be food insecure.
I try and simplify it as best I can, and that is, and I'll call it a household as opposed to an individual. A household that's found themselves in a position where they are just not sure where the next meal is coming from. And now think about that. I'm guessing that you and I are blessed with the opportunity to be able to eat with a degree of frequency.
Sure.
I simply cannot imagine, other than the stories that I'm told when I have the opportunity to speak to those that depend on our services, our friends and neighbors, but they simply just don't know where the next meal is coming from. They paid their rent, and we also know that Orlando proper is one of the more challenging areas in the country when it comes to the cost of rent. But wages didn't necessarily keep up with that increase. So they've paid this enormous amount for their rent. Enormous is relatively speaking, but for them it's an enormous amount.
Right.
They've paid their utilities. We're assuming they had to put gas in the car if they're trying to get to work, because an overwhelming number of them, teetering around the 70 percentile range, are working households. In some cases, more than one job.
Right.
And the money's gone, and the pantry's empty. And I'm not sure where the next meal's coming from. That's where we come in. That's where we and our partner agencies, 600 plus of them throughout our 7 counties, that's where we come in, and that's the bridge that we try to build. Let's get you through whatever this is. If you need to come back later on, you come back later on. But that's essentially how I try to explain the profile of food insecurity. It's not that complicated. You just don't know where the meal's coming from.
Got it. How has this economy with inflation, how has that impacted you guys in being able to secure enough food for the people who need the food?
We had the same challenges, or we are experiencing the same challenges. Not quite as bad today as they were, say, 8-9 months ago.
Sure.
But I would say when there were supply chain challenges, we had the same issues that Publix would have when it comes to gathering or getting food. We depend heavily on donated food from Publix, from Walmart, and the like. And we usually end up spending maybe around $2.5–3 million on an annualized basis purchasing the food to make, shall we say, a distribution more healthy, or to provide some protein or something like that. As of the past 6 months, we had already spent $6 million. So the likelihood of us teetering in the $10 to $12 million range, not only because of transportation cost, but just the cost of food in general, we took a punch as well.
Your editorial that you wrote in the Sentinel was fantastic, by the way, but you mentioned how this is not going to be able to be fixed by just the Second Harvest Food Bank. This is a full-on community effort. So what do you mean by that? What should folks who are watching who might be in a good position, what would you encourage them to do?
So there are two initiatives that we have going on right now. One, first and foremost, is our need is great. So if someone's watching, 2 things. One, if someone's watching that needs food or knows someone that needs food, please go to our website, feedhopenow.org, and you can find where our partner agencies are distributing food. By all means, use that. So that's, I have to say that to make sure. Food costs money, but I'm really efficient with it. I can take $1 and turn it into 4 meals. So $10 goes a long way with us. That's maintaining what we're doing today. We still need that. We still need the volunteers. That saves me several million a year that I can take and buy food with if I'm not preparing it using staff time. But then there's the other element, and this is a huge element. No, I can't solve hunger. by myself. I would just be totally untruthful. But I think collectively, from a coalition perspective, I think I could partner with other organizations in other areas to do some of that. We're trying to shift our focus from doing for our community to working with our community. And that's a pretty powerful shift. And in doing so, what we want to get to is we want to focus on root causes. How our friends and neighbors got to us in the first place. And it's not just me, it's housing, it's child care, the list, it's health care, and the list goes on. So we're going to focus on root causes using some of our own initiatives. One of them I mentioned in the article is our culinary program, where we're taking individuals who were marginalized. We're taking them through 18 weeks of training for free, and we've been fortunate enough to have the Publixes, the Disneys of the world, the Dardens of the world who support us in hiring them. And just think of this. Just think of someone who might have been on public assistance, and several of them come through our program. They leave the program. We boast a 95% placement rate. And key element here, not only do they pick up a salary, they also pick up benefits. That's life-changing.
Absolutely.
But that's just part of the journey. There are more elements. There are more elements to that. So those are the types of things that we're trying to focus on. And I'm having quite a few external conversations with other organizations saying, what is it that we may be able to do together to bridge some of those gaps? And it's going to have to be a collective effort, because once again, the root causes of hunger is poverty, and it's multifaceted. So in order to work that, we have to work with every individual and every organization that's touching or that's a part of that facet.
It's a long road, but it seems like the Second Harvest Food Bank and yourself have a vision of what the next 10 years should look like to maybe reach that goal. Would you say that's fair?
I would say that is very fair. And if by chance we miss it, we honestly believe that the path that we're going to take, when I say shift away from doing for to doing with, that also includes having ongoing conversations with individuals who utilize our services. What are the root causes? How did you really get here? We're going to be having those. That was part of the discussion I had with my board this morning. And we're all extremely excited about that type of dialogue. It's been happening before, but we also want to bring them in to be part of the discussion as well. So we're going to get quite a bit more externally focused on root causes, and focus through partnerships and attack it through partnerships, and also focusing on health. Those are the two initial fairly large shifts that we're taking from a food bank perspective, while we continue to provide the meals, because it's going to take a while. We'll be at this a minute.
And we have a link to the food bank's website for those either in need of assistance or if they'd like to help. Just look for this story on clickorlando.com/weekly. I'm Justin Warmoth. Hope you have a great Sunday.